What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. But before we get into it, remember to like, comment, subscribe. We will be doing a giveaway at 2,000 subscribers of a Destin Rivals booster box, and that will be given away to a random comment on one of the videos. So make sure you're commenting. But I have to come back to Final Fantasy because, in terms of overall speed, set's been going at in terms of prices is kind of insane. Because I honestly I check it every day, and it's just one of those sets that honestly we've never seen before. I think the popularity blows Lord of the Rings out of the water by a lot, and it also has more chase cards because I think the Lord of the Rings set lost a lot of its value because once the One Ring got pulled, I think like the first week, and that definitely affected the markets a decent amount. But with this, you got all you have the chocobos and you have the 77 golden chocobos, which are all just like insane chase cards, and the value just has just skyrocketed. Um, but I wanted to look at the collector booster boxes and also delve a little bit into um, the play bundles as well, because that's also something I'm super surprised in. Typically, we don't really see that jumping as much, and I do think this is a one-off scenario because I just I don't think any set will ever be this big. I say that, but you never know. They could do some insane collaboration that we don't know of. Could be some anime collaboration. For all we know, Avatar will be bigger because I know that's really huge here in the states. I know it's pretty big in other states. It's one of the best animated shows ever produced, in my opinion. So that might be as big as this, maybe bigger. I don't know. I don't think the IP is the same because they really have been ruining it lately with like the live action stuff. But these display cases for collector booster boxes have just I don't know just gone extremely high really quickly. Because for a while we were sitting at like a 7,600 give or take, and that's kind of where the sales were at. But we've kind of hit like a roadblock where this is the last sale 720 at 7,600, and the next one's at 8,900, and that was 4 days ago. Today's 7:30, and I'll be posting this today. That's a $1,300 increase in 6 days. That's insane. And I think now like the market's kind of fighting it a little bit because for a while the lowest net listing I believe was like 9,200 and nobody was buying it. I think we will see some buys on Friday because I think people get paid and we'll see at least one bought, and the prices has also go down to basically 9,000, which I think is what we'll be sitting at for a little bit. But in terms of value, I do think these boxes like this is a runaway train at this point. I don't see it declining. Because there's just so many chase cards and so many of the boxes have already been opened. Because I think people are looking for these golden chocobos. So a lot of the collector boxes are either opened or they're being held. So I think now the scarcity is starting to set in because we only have. I mean, this is 23 listing of display cases, but with the scarcity and the holding, I just don't think there's much circulation. And I think 8,900 is probably a good come buy too. Um, because unless there's some serious economic downturn in the global economy, I don't foresee this going down at all. I easily seeing it hit 2,000 a collector box, which we'll get to right now, because right now these are sitting at 1349, and just like you got to think. So in the month of June, so June 1st, we started at 711, and now it's essentially almost doubled, which I think it will double, um, probably in the next couple weeks. Because we're seeing, and I checked, we're seeing it says average sold daily. It's not nearly as much now. We're seeing about 10 sold a day, which is a decent healthy amount, especially for these prices. 10 of these a day is that's insane. You talk about $13,000 in boxes a day, a little more now, but you see this is 1349, 1380, like two more buys, and this is pretty close to 1400. But listings he's coming on once in a while, so it'll probably hover around 1350, 1380. But I think this is soon to hit 1400, which is a crazy concept. That that's kind of where we're heading. But this easily would it's going to be a $2,000 box. Um, if other sets can, if something like Lord of the Rings holiday special can hit 2K. Even though that's more scarce, I definitely think this can because this is way more popular, and I think the demand is there. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are realizing, oh, I'll just sit on this and it'll keep going up. So I mean, and then the people that aren't sitting on it are ripping it. So it's like because looking for the golden chocobo. So and I just don't see the value going anywhere. I also want to take a look at Sephiroth because this is probably the top non-chase chocobo card you can get. And this price is, I mean, it's been fluctuating, but it's going up. Um, which is just crazy, and we're seeing a decent like an average sold 4 day. Like that's insane at that price. And I think in terms of value, like there's just a lot of good valuable cards. So you get all these cards. You have all the chocobos you could potentially pull, which is they're worth like two collector boxes. Most of them or have decent value. Yeah, so pretty close to two collector boxes, maybe one and a half. And then you have the chance to get the black chocobo, which is also just an insane pool. I like I say all the time, I think buying single collector boxes is sketchy. I think you'll have to go to like a reputable seller, maybe something like this. Because like at the end of the day, if I open a box and I open four of the boxes and I get a chocobo, there's a good chance these people are selling their leftovers. That's the way I think, and that's kind of why I try to stay away from these type of buys, unless it's from like a huge seller like that, that has 10,000 in sales. Like any of these sellers I'd buy from, you're paying the premium, but you definitely feel more comfortable when you're paying the premium because you don't think like you're going for somebody that has like 500 sale, like two, like all these people who probably have ripped a case and are just selling their leftovers. I don't know. That's just an assumption. I don't want to assume that anybody's doing that, but still. So in terms of value, I definitely think the cases are worth a lot more because it it's not searched. So I definitely see the value for that going up a lot. And then if we go back to the gold chocobos, will be next. These are insane. Typically you don't in Magic you don't see this for the played boosters. This is rare. I think just the demand was so high and they didn't print enough, and then reprints aren't coming for a while. I just think it just catapulted this, and so I think it's too late for it to go down because I think even when reprints come, it's just not going to stop the train. I just think it by that point it'll just honestly be adding fuel to the fire, and I think sales will go even up even higher because people want to buy it. And then you got to take into consideration the gold chocobos. We're not even halfway through yet, which is in my eyes insane. I just feel like the amount of packs I've seen ripped and opened, I've could have swore we would have been at least 75% of the way through. Um, but yeah, I like, and you can only imagine you pull one of these like the you're easily getting like this is look at 79K. That was 718. So it's just like there's the potential to get that, and I think that potential really another 75K, another 7. Like, it just the odds of getting it is so small, but it's at the end of the day, it's glorified gambling. You think, oh well, if I open this, I had to open a case I could pull Gold Chocobo, even though people rip open multiple collector master cases and they're not getting it. So, but still, like some of the best ones are still available. You got the 7 still available, and you got the 77 still available, which I think will be the highest sellers. I think it'd be higher selling than one. This says 50K, but I don't think that's right. I don't know where that number came from. From what I've heard, I heard Ancestral MTG bought it for 250. But still, um, this train's not stopping. Um, and I think getting in now is still good, specifically for a collector. Um, in terms of like return, like I just feel like a year from now, but like I said, unless there's some serious economic downturn in like the global economy, these aren't going down, and they'll only go up. Because I thought maybe okay, if Spider-Man comes out and then Avatar comes out, let's probably take away from it a little bit, maybe go down. But I just feel like there's so much hype around this that none of that can take it away. And I think so far, like Spider-Man, what they've released is kind of a little, in my opinion, underwhelming. I think they will come out with more, and I think it will be a great set. I definitely think there'll be serialized cards. I'd be surprised if there's not, honestly, or at least you know, it's just it's too big of an IP, in my opinion, to waste and not have serialized cards. Like, if you not want to, in some sets they don't do it, obviously. Like they didn't do it in for Edge of Eternities, which is fine. I'm pro serialized cards. I'm not pro like overabundance, but throwing in like a 50 drop of something or a 70 or a 100 drop, I think nothing over 100 should be a thing. Maybe keep the number at 99. But I also think skipping some sets is also good. That keeps the serialized market a little healthy. And I think they're learning that too. Because at the beginning when they started doing serialized cards, they were doing like 500 of like 10 different cards, and it really dilutes it and loses its value. And I think they're learning from that. So I think from now on they'll do like a couple sets here that do serialized, a couple sets that don't do serialized. I definitely think they'll keep the number low. I'd be surprised if they did like a 500 of something. Um, yeah, but overall, I think people should be buying this. Um, I think it's a great investment, in my opinion. I don't see it going down anytime soon. So if you did have the money, definitely buy a display case. If you don't have that money, then buy a booster box. Because I think 6 months from now, these will be at like 2,000. But at the end of the day, it's just my opinion, and that's all I can say. But remember, guys, like, comment, subscribe, be entered in the giveaway. Once we hit that 2K subscribers, I'll be giving away that box. I'll do it live like I usually did in the past. But remember to leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video.